Now, I don't know what the Beastie Boys are actually saying, but I always thought they were saying human deodorant. Intergalactic human deodorant, intergalactic. Another dimension, 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 another dimension. Another dimension. What is another dimension? What's it like if you go to another dimension? Is it like you've gone to another planet? Is it like a distant place in the universe somewhere? No, it's not even in this universe. You couldn't be there. You physically exist in this realm. Another dimension is another realm that you are not in. So how do you imagine that? Here's the problem. Ready? You know your mind, you know that thing where you do all your thinking? You know, if I say, picture this in your mind, and then you picture it, where do you picture it? It's in your mind. Where is your mind? Can you show me it? No, your mind is in another dimension. You're doing all your thinking in another dimension and then extracting from it and bringing it here. If I ask you to tell me what's on your mind, you're telling me about something that I can't see, I can't touch. But it's in your mind, isn't it? You can explain it to me. As if you went and reached that information from somewhere else. You see, I've spent a lot of my life believing, because I wanted to believe, that my thoughts were my thoughts and I came up with them. Like I'm sprouting them out of my brain, right? But you're not really, if you think about it. If you think about it, right, if you think about your thoughts, which is hard to do, what are your thoughts and where do they come from? Think about that, that's hard. And really, it's more like your brain is a receiver. And you're receiving something from somewhere else, or you're going somewhere else, doing your thinking over there, in this other dimension that you can't go to, but you're there all the time in your mind. You can go there whenever you want in your mind, right? It's another dimension. Your physical body can't exist there, but there's something inside your physical body. It's like, you know when you get a dead person and their brain is still intact? You can't like open up their brain with a knife and see the mind. The mind is just what we call it. We don't actually know what it is. We know what the brain is. We know what these little electronic fucking signals that go off in our brain, those are called thoughts. When you have a thought, there's a physical thing that happens. We can go, that's it, that's the thought. We still don't know where that comes from or why or where it is your mind is going when you go there. Or even the voice in your brain that sort of argues with you sometimes. If you go, I want to do this, and then a voice comes in and goes, no, you probably shouldn't do that because blah, blah, blah. You're having conflicting thoughts. That's weird, isn't it? Or like I said, if I say to you, picture a black cat, and then you can see a black cat in your head, but you can't actually see a black cat, can you? Like in front of your eyes. And you can't show me it. You can explain it to me. I did this experiment the other day with someone. I went, picture a cow with a cat's head. Can you see it? Well, I can see it too. I'm picturing it too. But then I started asking questions. What do you see? Is it a full-size cow with a tiny little cat head on it, like the size of a normal cat head? Or has it got has it got a big cat head the size of a cow head? Also, where do you picture this cow with the cat head? Is it standing in a field? Is it a cloudy day? Is it a sunny day? Is it in a science lab and it looks like it's just been created and there's a bloke behind it going, ha, it's alive, or whatever? Just because you picture the same thing as me, it doesn't mean you picture the same thing as me. So we're both trying to think about a cow with a cat's head, but you're thinking about it in your mind. And I'm thinking about it in my mind. And my mind is different to your mind. And it's like, well, what is your mind? I would say, it's another dimension. And we're just going to our own little dimensions where we don't physically exist, but we do exist. It's definitely real. It's real. But it's not real like I can pick up a rock and go, this is real. And then I can give it to you and you can hold it and go, look, it's real. You can whack it on your head and go, that's definitely real. But you know, what I think, if I think about a cow with a cat's head in my mind, that cow with a cat's head isn't real, My thought of it is real. And I can make you have the thought and go, you think about it, and now that your thought is real. Because your mind is real. But like I said, if you were dead and we chopped open your brain, we can't find your mind. It can't be shown. It can't be observed. Just like when a scientist says, you know, there's such a thing as other dimensions, and it can't be shown and it can't be observed. It doesn't mean it's not real. So the reason why when someone says, imagine another dimension, you can't really imagine it because your mind is another dimension. And it's like saying, imagine your imagination. Imagine your imagination. Try and picture it. You can't, because your imagination is your imagination. It's the one thing you can't imagine. So it could be that your mind is another dimension that your brain somehow created. So it creates this other dimension and your brain goes there. And that's why we all have different thoughts. That's why your vision of the cow with the cat head might be different to mine. Because you've created your own little dimension that you think in. Or it could be that the mind is a massive other dimension that we all go to. And we all dip our brains in there somehow. And it's as if in that dimension it's made of some sort of material that you can make anything out of. And that's how you can imagine things. But it's still your interpretation of it here in your physical form. So I say imagine a cow with a cat head. You sort of dip the hand in your mind into another dimension, grab some material and you try and make a cow with a cat's head on it, and then you picture it in your mind. That's the way you've interpreted it. And then I've dipped into the same dimension, grabbed material, but it's still my interpretation. So I pictured the same thing as you. I've gone, right, a cow with a cat head. But the details are different because it's still me doing it in this realm. Me, John Glenister, the way I look, my height, my weight, in this fucking dimension. But when my mind goes into the other dimension and goes, a cow with a cat's head, it's me drawing it back to here and going, well, this is what I see. And if we both drew on a piece of paper what we see in our minds, we might see slightly different things. Because we're here. We can't actually go to the other dimension. Our brains go there, and then we go, I see something, I'm going to bring it back here and draw it on paper for you. So maybe, yeah, all of our brains are going to the same dimension, extracting stuff, but we interpret it different. Or we all have our own little fucking universes that we go to. And maybe that's true. Maybe some people's other dimension is tiny and barren and derelict. And these are the people where you ask them personal questions and they can't answer them. You're like, what's your favourite colour? Don't know. Well, think of one. Make it up now. Just favour one. But how do you not know your own opinion, you fucking bellend? Yeah, some people just don't have an imagination, do they? Some people have a really vivid imagination. Some people have crazy dreams. Some people don't even remember their dreams. All of this shit. But we're all doing it. We all have dreams. We all have thoughts. And also different people have different levels of honesty. Some people, what goes on in their minds, they'll never tell you. Or they'll lie and go, yeah, I was thinking this, because they don't want you to know what they're really thinking. But yeah, I've just noticed that even really smart people sometimes can't wrap their head around the idea of another dimension. And then because they can't imagine another dimension, they sort of have doubts and go, well, another dimension probably isn't real because I can't even imagine it. Because it's kind of how the brain works, is you can imagine things that aren't real. But it's almost like once you can see it, it's like you can make it real, or you can imagine it might be real. So a cow with a cat head, you've never actually seen that in real life. But you can imagine it. And even though you've never seen any evidence of that being real, you're like, that could be real. Because you can imagine it, you can picture it. But if I go imagine another dimension and you can't imagine it, well, then you start doubting its existence because you can't even imagine it. So you're like, how can I imagine something that I can't imagine? And it's like, look, it's like saying, imagine your imagination. Can you imagine it? No. Well, does that mean your imagination doesn't exist and someone made it up? Well, even if they did, they would have to have an imagination to make it up. So you know imaginations are real, even though you've never seen one, and you can't imagine one. But you know imaginations are real. Okay. So with that in mind, imagine another dimension. Another dimension, another dimension, another dimension. dimension, another dimension, another dimension, another dimension,